Hi guys, it's Jordan from B&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Autosleeper Symbol 2004. So we'll start under the bonnet. Got your engine battery over here on the left hand side. Your solar panel wiring, so because it's a duo controller, the solar panel wiring is just here. Your engine oil goes in through this cap just at the top of the engine, or you've also got another little cap down here for it, but you know it's better really to go through the top of the engine, so you get it on the on the top bits and pieces as soon as you pour it in. Brake fluid attached to the servo just down the back, sits just at the top of the engine just here. Power steering fluid in this reservoir just here at the front. You see there, nice sort of reddy colour, and you can also see that the actual level of it is perfect just along there. Sort of fuses and relays and things behind this box just here, as well as under here as well, but that's all Fiat, or well, Fiat, Peugeot, Citroen. It's Fiat stuff under here, so you don't need to worry about any of that. Engine coolant sits in this reservoir just up here, and again you can see there nice clear fluid in there, nothing nasty about it. And engine's cold at the moment, and the level is just there, just below the maximum line, so that's perfect level. Air filter sits inside this box just here, and your washer fluid sits under this reservoir just there. So you can see the original chassis plate that you can go off is that one just in there, so 2900. Yeah, so I think that's about it for under the bonnet really. There's nothing else, there's nothing too technical about it. Runs and drives really nicely. Your diesel filling point is this one just inside here. It's a little bit dusty after having the polishing done on it, so I'll pop that back away properly in a minute, but that's the diesel filling point. I'll leave that down there so I don't forget. There's not really a huge amount to show you on the passenger side, apart from the fact that you've got this obviously your Autosleeper job chassis number, all that sort of stuff just inside there if you ever needed to get in touch with Autosleeper for anything. Fire extinguisher down there. I'm not sure whether or not, I think you probably would have failed that on the habitation check. Looks a bit old to me. Right, I'll go around the inside of the vehicle in just a minute, but we'll carry on around the outside for now. Toilet cassette locker is this one just here at the outside. You do normally have to press both of these buttons in at the same time to open the door up, but I must have had the bottom one undone. So you've got a separate flush system on this one, so your flush fluid goes in through this top one up here. So if I just show you, your flush fluid goes in there. You can empty it out one of two ways. If you wanted to empty it out and start again, you can either, well, this is the proper way to do it, would be to take this little bit off here and then it will start pouring out from there, but that only gives you what's in this little U-bend. So once you've done that, pull out from here and then down, this comes out, and then you essentially just drain it out like that. All right, pull it up like that until it stops, and then go back in at the top, just do it in reverse basically, back in at the top and then push it back in the little slot at the bottom. Pop that back away. To take the actual toilet cassette out, push down on this little button here and then pull the whole thing towards you. Once it's out, all you need to know really is that you obviously empty it from here, and when you are actually emptying, you should be holding down the little button at the back there, little yellow tab there. So you should be holding down that button there whilst you empty it out. What else have we got? Anything else there? I don't think so. Back of the van, again, nothing to show you really. Obviously all the fridge and all that sort of stuff's just there, but I will show you that when we get on the inside. Something really important to point out about the fridge, it will light up when I show you it in a minute, but when you are actually lighting it up and using it properly, you should take these covers off. So basically just turn these little things with a flathead screwdriver and they'll just pull off straight towards you. Same with the bottom one. If you don't take these off, it won't really get cold because there's not enough circulation. So make sure that you do take these off if you're going to use the fridge. Hookup point. So if you're at home or at your campsite, wherever you are, hookup cable goes in there, and that'll obviously give you access to using all of your 240 volt sockets, and the charger will start charging up your leisure battery straight away, things like that. I'll just have a look if there's anything else underneath. So that looks to me like your, what would that be, waste drain? I'll have to have a little look on the sheet to see. That might be your waste drain. I'll have to have a little look at the sheet. One of your waste tanks just there. Is that one just there? Your boiler vent is this one just here. So if you had your hot water lit up, which actually it is at the moment, I can feel hot air coming out through the sides of this vent just here. Got a nice new water cap on here. The old one had a little bit of key broken off inside it, so you got a brand new one here with a brand new key as well. So that's there for your freshwater inlet. And the driver's side, obviously a little bit more important. Your bonnet release is just down here, just above the clutch pedal, and your steering column adjustment is the one just to the right of that. You've got electric adjusting mirrors, so you just choose which mirror you want to move, and then just literally move this around like a little joystick to move it around. Windows. Your boiler cover is this one just here. I'm obviously not going to put it on because I've got it lit up at the moment, but you basically just put it over these little bits at the top, and then just sort of give it a tap at the bottom, and it'll just hook over. That's kind of like a winter cover. All of your factory fitted Peugeot stereo system is up there. 5-speed manual gearbox. Lift up on this bit here to get it up into reverse, top left. All of your heater controls are all just there. You know, everything's pretty standard on it, to be fair. It's nice and easy to use. But yeah, I mean, Autosleeper, when they build the vans, they don't change anything about the cab really. The only thing that you've got, I mean, now you've got a solar panel as well, but the only thing that you've got that's different to original is that when you start the engine up, obviously the leisure battery gets charged at the same time as the engine. So as soon as your engine starts running, you've got what's called a split charge relay, and it sends power from down there under the bonnet straight through back to your leisure battery as well. So you can basically have a good charge on your leisure battery just by taking it out for a drive. Any decent motorhome brand will be doing that with conversions. So let me just quickly run you through your solar panel first. So the solar controller is up here. Obviously it's quite a big thing, and don't forget we still have to hoover this whole thing out, but yeah, it's quite a big controller because it's the duo controller. You see there, you've got two wires that come in from the solar panel that come in from up there. So that's PV, and then you've got battery 1 and battery 2. So both wires go head down that way, obviously, because the leisure battery sits under the floor there, actually under the driver's seat, sorry. So, you know, both the wires, I've tried to keep it as neat as possible, you know, running it down here, behind over here, and all that sort of stuff, and then down your little B pillar there. But that's why the controller is pretty big. But you can see there, I mean, there is a way of checking your battery voltage on the control panel, which I'll show you in a minute, but if you see there, battery 1 is wired up to the leisure and battery 2 is your engine. So it's telling you there that battery 1 is at 13.2 volts, which is actually really, really good. If you had a hookup plugged into the van and the charger was on, you'd be sat at about 14. But you know, a resting battery voltage is about 12.2. So the fact that that's on 13.2 is, you know, is really good. And to be fair, it's not even very sunny outside, so it's not, you know, yeah. But anyway, that's that. So it's all working really, really well. Again, like I said, I've tried to keep it as neat as I possibly could, but yeah, yeah. So I hope you're happy with that. Over the top here, you've got a couple of extras. So you've got your, well, not really extras, but you got your awning winder just here, and if you want to get your wheel nuts off for whatever reason, you've got the right size bit for that. It's a 19mm. A couple of bits that we've left in the vehicle from the previous owners, so an extra wiper blade if you wanted it. The thing is, there's no point us chucking it out because it might come into use for you, so we just leave it in here. You can chuck it if you don't want it, but you know, these kind of things are usually pretty helpful. What's that? Oh right, so that's a little screen for the windscreen. They're actually not cheap at all. But anyway, yeah, that's all just bits and pieces that we've left in there for you. Right, let me get on to the control panel. It's probably the most normal way to start. So It's a pretty straightforward control panel, very, very standard for these auto sleepers to have. So start on the left. So you've got HAB and vehicle on this little rocker switch. So HAB is your leisure battery. So basically this left-hand switch here just decides how the vehicle powers things. So at the moment I've got it switched up to HAB. So anything at all now, lights, ignitions, pump, all that sort of stuff is all running from your leisure battery under that driver's seat, which is obviously the way that you want to do it 9 times out of 10. Especially now because you've got that solar panel on. See, look, if I'll put all the lights on. Put the lights on up there. All the lights are on. And we're still sat, see there, look, 13.2. Just sort of dropping down 13.1. But like I said to you, if you had no solar panel on the roof, you'd be sat at sort of 12 volts now. And that leisure battery would just be sort of slowly going down and down and down because there's nothing keeping it charged up. So the fact that that's sat at 13 volts with all the lights on and things like that is just, you know, it's unbelievable, really. It's really, really good. So that's that. I just thought I'd show you that. Anyway, so we're on HAB. If I went down to the middle, that'll turn anything 12 volt off, basically. If I go down to vehicle, it then starts powering everything in the van, so lights and things like that, starts powering it via the engine battery, which is something that you do not want to do. All right, so keep it up there on HAB. Once you've done that, everything, like I said to you before, everything is powered by your habitation or leisure battery. Okay, make sure that you switch that off when you are finished with everything in the van. It's just, you know, good practice. The next one is your master switch, so that'll turn everything off. So all of your lights and things like that is like an isolator basically for your battery. The next one, if I push left on this where it says battery, you need to look at the top scale, which is the colours. I'll press that now, look, all the way up in the green, and that's testing whatever battery your little switch there is facing. So testing the habitation battery like that, or testing the vehicle battery like that. Very, very similar because they're both wired up to your solar panel. All right. The voltage, by the way, that it tells you up there will fluctuate like that as and when the sun comes out, just so that you know. I mean, if you can literally stand in here and watch it, sun comes out behind a cloud and all of a sudden it'll be up at like 13.5 volts. So it will fluctuate like that. It's totally normal. So you don't have to worry about that at all. Right, so pressing left on battery shows you your battery voltage, which, like I said, is the top scale, the colours. If you press right to water, you need to look at the bottom scale, which has got E and F, empty and full, and then you've got quarter, half and 3/4. So let's have a look how much fresh water is in the tank. So you've got nearly a full tank of fresh water. All right. Once you've tested how much water you've got in the tank, as long as you've got some in it, you can then switch your pump on and your lights, and then obviously pressing the lights on button and the pump on button will only basically allow all of these lights to have power to them, but then they've all got their own on and off switches anyway. All right, same with the pump. As soon as you turn that pump switch on, it won't just constantly run. As long as there's no leaks or anything like that, which there isn't, obviously, the taps shouldn't run, or the pump shouldn't run until you pull the tap, really. So if I show you now, I've got the pump switch on, and by the way, these are on if you can see red at the bottom. I pull the tap, start on the cold side, which is that way. I can hear the pump running and I can see that the water's coming through nice and easily, so there's no air in the system. Change over to hot. And again, no air at all. It's all coming through really, really nicely. Switch it off and then the pump should turn itself off. There you go. So that's perfect. That means there's really, really good pressure there at the pump. If you turned that tap off and the pump just carried on, it can mean one of two things, really, or one of a few things. It either means that you're very, very nearly out of water, or it can mean that your boiler is not full of water. So that's sort of the next point I want to get onto. If you turn your pump on, you need to do that first. Prove to yourself that your boiler's full by pulling that hot side and making sure that the water comes through the tap. Because the hot water side on the system runs through the boiler before it gets to any of the taps around the vehicle, that's like the only way of proving to yourself that your boiler's full of water. So you need to turn the pump on. If you pull the hot tap and it comes through like it did just then, that means that your boiler is definitely full of water. If the boiler was empty, you'd literally get nothing coming through the tap whatsoever. It would just sort of cough and spurt at you because it's filling up. So I hope that makes sense, but you really need to do that before you start trying to light your boiler up, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. You have to make sure that, I have to prove to yourself that it's full. If you light the boiler up without any water in it, you're essentially like boiling an empty kettle, and what will happen is everything inside the boiler will get way too hot. You know, and sometimes things can start to sort of burn out and melt. So make sure that you do this first. It's really important. The boiler is probably the most expensive part in this van, so you do need to look after it as best you can. Right, I'm not trying to scare you with that. I'm just trying to say, you know, it's really important to look after it. Fridge is just underneath that, so we go to that next. The fridges on the motorhomes, they work all the same way. If you want to get the fridge cold from the start, from scratch, you need to either use mains electric, which is the green switch just here, and leave that dial alone, don't worry about that. Either use the mains electric, obviously when your mains is plugged into the vehicle, or if you've got your gas on, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, press your ignition button there. You'll hear it clicking and you can see it flashing, and then all you need to do is push in and around to the left on this one. The ignition switch has stopped flashing and stopped igniting because it's lit up. Hold on to it for a second and then let go of it. As long as that ignition switch stays off when it's in its on position, that means that your flame is definitely lit. You can also check it by having a little look down there. You should be able to see a little blue flame down there, like that. So that proves to you that your flame is lit. I'm going to switch that off because I've got those vents on the outside, all right? But that's how it works. Okay, make sure that you turn that ignition switch back off again when you are finished, because it will just carry on running and running forever, and eventually kill your batteries off. The other way to use it, because it is a three-way fridge, is 12 volt, which is your little red switch down here. The 12 volt, basically what you need to do is you need to get the fridge cold first with everything inside it, you know, getting cold, before you start driving and going wherever you're going. Okay, so the 12 volt is for when your engine is running only. Okay, so basically if you want to get the fridge cold first, you need to either press the green button when you're hooked up and leave it a good sort of 3 or 4 hours or so with everything inside it, or light it up on gas and again leave it a good 3 or 4 hours, at least, to be honest. So, you know, some people leave them overnight before they start driving. But basically, once you've done that and everything inside the fridge is cold, switch over to your 12 volt and then start your engine up and start driving. Now, some people leave that button on all the time because it won't do anything at all until you start your engine up. So right now, that being in its on position isn't doing anything or draining any battery, because it works via that split charge relay that I was talking about. So that will not do anything at all until you start your engine up. So you can leave that one on if you want, just leave it on, and then when you start your engine up and start driving, it will just automatically start working via that. Okay, so that's the three-way fridge. You've also got, let me just point out to you, you've got these two little holes up here and this button that goes down like that. You open it back up again by pushing on this little green tab. But the reason you've got two holes is that you can actually lock it up in this position here, and that's like a vent. You see it's just slightly open. So what will happen is, if you're not going to use the fridge for a little while, it's really important to leave it on that vent, because it's the smell that comes from these fridges when you don't do that is unbelievable. If you close it all the way over like that and leave it, you know, off for months on end, you will not believe the smell that comes out of it. It's unbelievable. So make sure that you leave it on the vent if you're not going to be using it, but otherwise just, you know, use it how you want to use it. You've got a couple of gas isolators down here, so fridge at the bottom, boiler in the middle, and your cooker system at the top. So you just turn them 90 degrees so they're facing vertical. If you think there's a problem with anything, if you think there's a gas leak on something, you can just isolate it from there and then forget about it for that, you know, for the time being. Obviously at the moment there's no leaks on anything at all and everything's all good. The cooker is all really nice and simple. You've got an ignition switch just here. The ignition switch does all three burners at the top, the grill and the oven at the same time. So essentially, you know, sometimes people like to have a little igniter or, you know, some sort of a clicker just in case these fail, because they are prone to issues really. But that's up to you. Basically that'll do all of those, like I said, and then you've got a little diagram above each one of these telling you which one it does. So you literally push in and round to the left to allow the gas to come through, and like I said, this one is the top right, bottom left, top left, grill and oven. All right, grill door needs to be open when you use it, obviously, just like at any, you know, even at home, same thing. Couple of interesting bits down here. So you've got your 240 volt isolator trip switches in there. So if you plug the hook up into the vehicle and then something dodgy got plugged in here, it would trip from in there basically. And you've also got your boiler 240 volt switch. So if you had a hookup cable plugged into the vehicle and your boiler is full of water, if you didn't want to light it up on gas like I have at the moment, you can just turn this little button on here, and then basically there's an element inside the boiler which will just start heating up the water inside of it. Make sure that you switch that off before you start, once you're finished, because if you plug a hookup into the vehicle and forget that that's on, obviously, you know, you can run into some issues there. So make sure that you turn that off when you're done with it. It's quite important. Whilst we're down here, I'll carry on showing you bits down here. So your gas locker is this one just inside the vehicle. You'll notice that it's got a little seal running all the way around it, and it's metal lined, and that's why it's legal to be inside the vehicle. Obviously usually they'd be outside, but because it's a panel van, they've got, you know, quite cleverly sort of put it inside like this. Plenty of drop out holes straight down to the underneath of the vehicle, which makes it, you know, all perfectly legal and all perfectly safe. If there was going to be any issue with the gas bottle inside there, one, the gas wouldn't be able to get through into the inside of the vehicle because of the seal, and two, gas is much heavier than air, so if it is going to leak, it will leak straight down there and down the drop out hole to the outside. Okay, so that's why it's all perfectly safe. You don't need to worry about it being inside whatsoever. So you've got a Class A regulator up there, and by the looks of it, a reasonably new pigtail. I can't see the date on it. I can't actually see the date from here. It'll be written on your habitation sheet. Anti-clockwise round to the left turns the bottle on, so basically bringing the dial upwards turns it on, and clockwise around to the right turns it off, so screwing it down turns it off. Switch that gas bottle off before you start driving, absolutely 100% of the time. You can't leave anything lit up on gas whilst you're driving either, obviously. You know, if you were going to have a crash or something like that and a gas pipe split somewhere, if you've got the gas bottle switched on, you're just going to get 30 millibars of gas pumping out wherever it breaks, and you know, that's the last thing that you want if you're going to have a crash. So make sure that you switch that off before you start driving. Right, sorry, also down here, so you've got your boiler on gas is this one down here. So you see there it says Truma Ultra Store. Now all you need to do to actually light it up is put it where I've put it there. So change, basically I'm going to switch it off now. You heard it switch off, that was the solenoid dropping back. So basically all you have to do is set your temperature. In here it's 30 all the way through to 70, completely up to you what temperature you set the water to. Some people set it at quite a high temperature so that you can make it last a little bit longer, if that makes sense. You know, in your shower you just sort of mix the cold water a little bit more, and then, you know, it sort of lasts a little bit longer. But basically turn this round to the flame symbol, it will just light up. Any second now, there you go, heard it there, and that's it. It will turn itself off when it gets to the right temperature, and then just kind of kick in and out as and when it needs to. You can expect that to take about, I don't know, anywhere between sort of half an hour to an hour to actually get completely hot. But I can guarantee you now, I mean, I've had it on since about 5 minutes before I started this video. I can pretty much guarantee you that the water's going to be hot, or warmish anyway. Oh, there you go, it's hot. That's good. Can you see the, there you go, you can see the steam coming off it already, look. So actually, I mean, it's been half an hour and that is boiling hot water. So, well, not literally boiling, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that's how the boiler works. Make sure that you switch that off, like I said, before you start driving. Ensure that you turn that off. Last thing, or the last sort of appliance really, is your e-dispatcher diesel heating. E-dispatcher because it's got the little sort of E symbol down here. So they use these a lot in, well, various motorhomes, but usually the main sort of use is for in the little, what they call them, in the sort of like lorry cabs, the chassis cabs for the lorries. So if they're going to warm themselves up at night, you know, in the lorries, they've normally got a little diesel heater like this tucked away somewhere. Basically the way they work, if you want to just have a fan running, press this little button at the bottom here, you get a blue light, and then basically you just get cool air flowing around this one just here. So that's just cool air at the moment, it's just blowing around cool air. Really important to point out, this one down here sucks air in, okay? So this one sucks air in, this one blows air out. Please do not put anything in front of this like that. If you cover this up with stuff, it won't allow any air to be drawn into it and it just won't work. So it's really important. There should really be a little something saying that, but don't put anything in front of it because it won't work properly. It needs to be able to draw air in properly to actually sort of make the combustion work. Switch it off to the middle like that, that's all completely off. And if you actually want to heat the van up, press the button at the top there, you get a little red light. And then after about 2 or 3 minutes or so, you'll have nice hot air pumping out through this one again. When you go to the outside, just behind, sort of just about here on the vehicle on the outside, you'll see that behind the actual normal exhaust for the engine, there's a smaller exhaust about this wide that comes down out as well, and that's the exhaust for your diesel heating. You will also hear a little bit of a whooshing noise. They are a little bit noisy when they first start up. Don't worry about that at all. It's completely normal. If you hear anybody else's on site that's got the same one, it's just exactly the same. It's just the way that they are. Yeah, right. I'll leave that on just for a minute, just so you can see that it works. Oh, it's my fault. Close this cupboard down. Right, these doors, let me just remind myself. Okay, so just in case you weren't aware, these doors can be a little bit fiddly with one hand, but they actually meet up over here. And, oh, see, I can't do it with one hand. Basically, this door comes all the way open like this, and you can see there's a little bit under there which this goes up into. It's because I've got the tap in the way, actually. Hold on a minute. Let me close that back. Right. You should be able to open this up and put that into there like that. And then once you've done that, you can see there, it covers up this little part perfectly. And obviously you've got a curtain here for the rear windows and all that sort of stuff. Everything can be closed out the way, but this basically gives you like a room at the back, if you like, so that you can do whatever you need to do, you know, in the bathroom. It means you don't have to have the door completely shut when you're in here having a shower, because it is quite a small space, but it kind of makes it feel like a bigger van because you've got this separate area at the back then once you've done this. Quite a nice, clever idea. Sink in here, obviously it all works via the pump as well, hot and cold. I don't need to show you how that works, it's just a sink. But the only thing I will point out is that obviously you notice there's no drain inside here, or anything. I'll show you. You pull the water through however much you want, like that. Get some proper pressure there. Once you've turned it off, turn this back like that. There's basically a drain at both corners down there. Slowly pour it over like that and push this back away. That is literally it. There's just a drain down here in each corner basically, and that just goes straight down to your waste tank, and that's it. That's how you drain those out. Light up there works as it should, and obviously you've got your toilet down here, which I'll just show you how that works as well. So I'm not going to flush it at the moment because I've got the cassette half out, as you can see. But essentially, to open the flap, you turn this dial here, and to actually get your flush fluid to pump around, just push down on that button there. Just literally push on it. So nice and easy. And your shower is there as well. Obviously, I'm not going to show you that because I'll get soaking wet, but that's where it is. So obviously, we've done our habitation check on it, and it's all passed and it's all good. Close this door back over. Like I said, it's a little bit awkward with one hand, but simple enough. Close it back over like that, and then you can shut the door fully. You can hear now straight away that heating's on full blast now. It's coming straight out from there, and I can feel it. Yep, really, really hot already. And then if you want to turn that off, push the middle button there with the little circle on it. The fan will carry on running for a little while just to cool the actual system down. If it turned itself straight off straight away, it would just stay too hot. So yeah, really important to do that. Once you've done that, obviously you can then go in here. I know that the heating is diesel, so it doesn't make a difference to that, but make sure that you turn your gas off before you start driving. It's so important. Just make sure it's properly off. All right. Close that back over. And then before you start driving, all you really need to do is make sure that all your windows and skylights and things are shut. Make sure your catches are over and all that sort of malarkey. It's up to you. You can leave this up whilst you're driving if you want to, but it's probably better practice to pop it away like that. You know, you're going to get less problems like that, aren't you, I think. Pop this back over. This folds down. Then all you need to do really is just turn these buttons off one by one. Lights, pump, master, and then put this one back to the middle. That's your control panel completely off, and then that's it really. So this little cupboard's got this little bit of metal that goes over here as well, so when you want to put it away, you need to pull this out of the way like that and just push up from the middle, then that'll close over properly. Couple of bits inside here. If you wanted a TV to go anywhere, you can put the TVs on here because you've got your 240 volt socket point there, which obviously, like I said, well, that'll only work when your hookup's plugged in. But you've got a 240 volt socket there, 12 volt point there, and your aerial point in there as well. So if you did want a telly, that's kind of where Autosleeper assume you're going to put it, and they do make it quite easy for you with having those things there. All of your paperwork for the vehicles in this brown box just in here. TV aerial booster and TV aerial, your tilt and turn aerial is there. It's all, you know, all there if you wanted to use it. But yeah, so I think I've shown you pretty much all I can on the vehicle. I've tried to be quite thorough with it. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, please just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.